Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Some stories don't just belong on screen, they belong in real life. Today's guest lived through one of the most controversial productions in film history. We are joined by Carl Yorke, an actor whose career includes a role in the infamous Cannibal Holocaust, a film known for its shocking realism and for pioneering the found footage genre. But behind the film is a story most people have never heard of. One of unpredictability, survival, and an experience that blurred the line between acting and reality. Carl, welcome to Thoughts At Last. A pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Before I continue, I just want to say I saw Cannibal Holocaust, I think, when I was younger. I was actually
Okay.
quite terrified and very scary movie and great production
Mhm.
quality. I even heard the story that, I think I think you guys were taken to court or something because they thought it was real. You guys actually killed people and whatnot. But actually mine was just mind-boggling. Anyways,
That,
Carl, before we kick things off, I and my listeners we want to get to know you on more personal level. So can you tell us more about yourself?
well, I went to New York to be an actor when I was already an actor in
Yes.
high school, and I was in every play in high school. And as soon as I got out of high school, I went to work in an improv company in San Francisco, and went to college, and I was in a lot of plays in college. And then I toured with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I did three national tours of that play before the movie came out. And then I landed in New York and stayed there and studied with that and a wonderful acting teacher, a very famous acting teacher, actually. So I had a lot of experience and a lot of training. When I went to this audition, I had this casting director called me on a Friday afternoon and wanted to know if I was available and would I go to South America for a month. And I said yes. And he had me come over to his office right away. And
Yeah.
I got there and there was a man there, an Italian man with a picture of another actor. And he looked at my picture and looked at that picture. And then he asked a couple of questions. And then he said, what size shoes do you wear? And I said, 10 and a half. He said, oh, good. You wait in the other room. Well, hold on. I want to fix my camera a little bit. There we go. Because I have to look
Okay.
at myself.
Okay.
What happened was they had hired these two actors from America to go to the Amazon River to shoot this movie, Cannibal Holocaust. And one of them had quit, but they'd already bought the costumes
Ex-
and the crew was already down. Yeah, did you need to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say equipment. So I was trying to, find the word for you, if you will.
Oh, oh.
Like, yeah, the crew, the cast, the equipment, and all that stuff.
The crew was already on the Amazon getting ready to
Yes.
shoot, and they already bought the costumes for this other guy, and he wore the same size shoes I did. So the only instruction that the guy in New York had was find somebody that looks kind of like this and has the right size shoes.
Wow.
And after all that experience, that's how I got this part.
Wow. Wow. So we can just say it's a coincidence that essentially made history.
A coincidence would be a generous way to say it.
Wow. That's
Well,
wonderful.
because actually, when I did get down there to the set, his shoes didn't fit me.
Oh, wow.
So 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 it was kind of a lie. It wasn't a lie. I didn't lie, but luckily I brought my own boots, and those
Yeah.
fit because I spent the next month tromping around in the jungle, making this movie.
My God. So you went from normal acting life to flying out almost immediately. What was going through your mind, throughout this process when you got this role on your way to the Amazon? What was just going through your mind during that period?
Well, that's a good question. I flew into Bogota, and there were only two planes a week to this little town on the Amazon. So and I flew into Bogota on a Monday, and Wednesday morning I got on a plane to Leticia, which is a little town in Colombia on the river, and I looked out the window, and there was all you could see was jungle. And I thought, oh
Yes.
boy, one way or another, we're gonna land in this jungle. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, honestly, my thought was this is gonna make a good story. That's what I thought.
Honestly, did you know
Because
what
at
you were
that point,
stepping into?
well, I didn't, well, no, I
Sorry.
didn't. I didn't know the name. I didn't have a
Yeah.
script. I had no idea who these people were. I didn't know
Oh my.
anything. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy, man. I mean, but you knew that they were legit, like they were not some kind of kidnappers or serial killers or something of the sort. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, say that again. I knew what?
So I said, and you knew that they were legit, like they were actually legit, producers that wanted to make a movie, and they weren't like, like serial killers or something.
Uh, it's hard to, wow, that's a good, I don't have any good reason to trust them. I didn't
Yeah,
have a good reason. I didn't have enough information to trust that I was doing something smart or wise. I knew other actors who got parts in movies, war movies, that they turned down because the companies didn't have insurance or the right kind of credentials. So just to fly
yeah,
off to go to the Amazon, let's just say it's crazy. I was kind of crazy.
yeah,
Um, because they could have been anything. And as a matter of fact, once I saw what was going on and what the movie was about and what my role was and so forth, um, so my first day, once I got to the river and I probably landed at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And
yes,
there's this one road from the little airport there through the town. They took me to they were bungalows. We stayed in bungalows that around a swimming pool. So I dropped my bags there, and then they put me in a boat right away and drove me up the river about 40 minutes, and then took a
yes.
right up a little tributary. So now we're on a tributary in the Amazon jungle. And a dead monkey floated by, and and then a human leg floated by,
What?
and yeah, and so I suppose looking back, I could go back and look at my journal to see if I made note of it, but
Yeah,
I suppose that I that worried me. I'm going to guess that
yeah,
that worried me
yeah.
today.
What was? Yeah. Was
Well, it
this the
turned.
point? Was this the point that you started to like realize or started to feel like this wasn't just another movie, another film that
Yeah,
you were going to
yeah,
make?
yeah.
Wow.
It was the monkey that did that because then I was right when I was like, we're not too worried about the leg. I just didn't expect them to be hacking people's legs off. But the scene that I
Yeah.
walked in on, that I got there, was the guide who was guiding the documentary film crew in the movie
Yes.
got bit by a snake, and then he said, "Quick, cut off my leg so the
Oof.
poison doesn't get to my heart and then kills me." And then so they hacked off his leg, and that's what I saw floating down there. It was a prosthetic leg. It was a fake leg. So I
Oh
couldn't
wow.
quite tell that, but that was the first scene that I saw them shoot. And probably within the next few days, I saw them kill a monkey and something else, two monkeys, and I saw a bunch of that stuff. Bunch of really, I read the script. That's what happened. I read the script, and I made the mistake of reading it over dinner while I was trying to eat,
Yes.
and some of the things they wanted me to do scared me a lot. So. So then
Wow.
when I saw them, what they did with the monkeys and then some other stuff,
Yes.
I got worried that maybe they were going to do that to me. So I
Oh my,
carried,
oh my God.
that I had a plane ticket out of there and I
Yeah.
had some money, and so I carried my ticket and my money and my passport with me
Just
everywhere
in
I went.
case.
Everywhere I
Just
went.
wow.
So
Actually,
so here.
that was actually a very good thing to do, just in case of, any hassle, anything, you're on the move and you're out of there instantly. So I wanted to ask you, I've never really been to the Amazon before, but I can tell you for a fact that I've seen lots of documentaries about how, it's not necessarily the most conducive place to be in. So what was it like to film in the Amazon under those conditions?
It was a lot easier than it sounded.
Wow.
I expected a lot of bugs, and there were some. I remember a bug landing on me, and it was fascinating. It looked like you know, an alien. It looked, it looked like a science fiction bug, you know.
Yeah, wow.
But a lot of it looked like science fiction because it was so different from, where I'd been.
Yeah,
So, so for instance, one part they the cannibals, because what the story is that I'm the leader of a documentary film crew making a documentary about cannibals. So
yes,
uh, as we go through the jungle, we rape them and we kill them and we burn their huts down. We do whatever we
yeah,
want because we're Americans. That's what Americans do. And
yeah.
and then they retaliate and they start picking us off one by one and eating us. So so I think the first one was my character's best friend, which is the other American on the thing, and his
Yeah.
character's name was Jack, and they attacked us. Jack gets hit with a spear. I shoot him to kill him, so because I know they're going to get him, and I want to, but it doesn't kill him. So they take him off into the jungle um, and they cook him while
Ooh.
he's still alive. So
Um,
so the way they did that was they actually cooked the guy. No, okay, they didn't. They
yeah.
um,
That
they
was
built
a good one.
they
Yeah,
buried him under up to his neck, and then they built a fake body out in front of him,
yeah.
and they had that fire there cooking that fake body, and on the fake
Wow.
body there were these ribs that were wrapped in some kind of probably bacon or something like that, and the next morning we went to the set and I went to look at that, and the ribs that were covered in that meat were covered in maggots. There was a team. There was a writhing pile of maggots eating that
Wow.
off the thing, and
Yeah.
that was kind of disgusting. And then I went back, and then a couple hours later, I went back to see what was happening, and they were all gone, and all the food was gone, and the bones were all nice and shiny and clean, and the maggots were gone. So I had a real respect for what was going on out there. There
Yeah.
were, you
Yeah.
know, they were like that, and oddly enough, everything at sort of at ground level looked like it was rotting, and everything.
Yeah.
And then you look up in the trees and there's the canopy, and everything at the top is growing. It was growing. So it's the life
Wow.
cycle on steroids there.
Yes,
And,
yes, yes,
and,
yes, actually.
and yeah, and there's a whole lot of different kinds of life that we don't see here in New York,
Yes.
certainly.
Yeah.
And I
How
don't know
did that
where you
ex
are. Where are you? Where are you?
okay, I'm in West Africa, Nigeria to be
Oh,
precise.
okay. Uh-huh. Good.
Yeah, we are quite a distance away from each other.
Yes, we are.
So Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, how did that experience affect you mentally, during filming, during and after filming?
I had a girlfriend at the time that I was living with, and
Yeah.
so 40 years later, that's now, or in the last few years, I reconnected with her, and
Wow.
she said, "Boy, you were a mess when you came back from that." So, so I believe her. It was pretty shocking what I witnessed, and but like I said, I had a lot of experience already, so I didn't have
Yes.
a problem with what it takes to um, create the character that Ruggiero wanted. Ruggiero was the director. Um,
Yes.
it, it took it took me past a lot of levels. I'd never been down some of these streets. For instance, there's a scene where we uh, we basically find this young native girl and rape her. And I'm not naturally a rapist, you know.
Yes.
So so
Of
for
course. I
me
mean,
to
no one is.
yeah, or if they are, they're not pretty much going to just come out and say it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really didn't want to do that shot. I really didn't want to do that. And so there was the day before I'd seen a dog die in the streets of Letitia 2 days
Yes.
before. And then the next day, for the first time, I went into town instead of where we usually ate, and I got
Yes.
a steak. And then the next morning, I felt sick. So I thought, did I eat that dog, the dog that died? Or
All right.
did I not want to go rape this little girl? And
Oh,
uh, so I told him I was sick, and I thought, kind of like when you don't want to go to school, I don't have to go to school that day. And they said,
yeah.
okay, you can take the late boat to the set. So they made me go anyway, and we had to do the thing. So at some point, I had to overcome when you're an actor, the hard part is showing the part of you that you don't want anybody to see. And we do that
Yes.
everybody does that all day long. We all act like, reasonable people, except for the people who can't help themselves. And,
Yes. Yes.
so we hide that part. So, but as an actor, sometimes you're asked to show that part, so
Yes.
I did. So I had to do that scene. And, that wasn't easy.
Yeah, I can imagine, honestly. I can.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
I saw that part of the movie. I really can't remember. It's been such a long time now, but what I know is, honestly, I thought maybe, that I thought everything was real. I didn't even look at it as a movie. That's wow.
Sure.
First of,
That was the
but now
idea.
that
How old were you when you saw that movie?
I think I was around 10 at the time, so you can imagine.
Wow.
We had to hide from my parents to, see the movie and whatnot. But man, was it, I
Yeah.
was like, but now when I think about it, when I saw your profile on Podmatch, I was like, wait, I think I've seen this movie before.
Uh-huh.
One thing I could remember though was the movie had very good production quality for the time. That's one thing I
Yeah.
remember clearly. Honestly, I was
Yeah.
like, wow, there's no way this is a movie. This actually happened, and someone secretly, filmed everything. That was what I thought to myself. I was like, there's no way this is a
Yeah.
movie. It was everything was just so real. So I did a little bit of a research and found out that you guys were actually taken to court to prove that it's a movie, that it's not real. And one question I want to ask is, how did the people that you worked with, the locals you featured in the movie, how did you guys convince them to actually, make this movie with you guys? It's crazy, man.
I don't think I understand your question. They convinced me to do the movie. I didn't convince them.
Wow. So, okay, how did they convince, the locals in the Amazon? Because,
Oh, the
it's been what,
locals.
yes.
The locals were, what a bunch of sweethearts. They were so sweet, and I'm not sure they understood what was happening and what a movie was. That's okay. So the locals, there were in the little town there were there were the educated people, and
Yes.
I met a couple of them. There was a guy, there was a mayor and his daughter had a boyfriend who was going to med school. You
Yes.
know, but he had come back to the town. But the rest of the people there, the guide, his name was Jorge, and he was a great guy. He drove me around. He gave me a little tour of Letitia, and here's how the tour
Yes.
went. He said, here's the hotel we have. It's got hot water sometimes, and it's got electricity sometimes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then he pointed to this part over there, and he goes, and over there, in about a year from now, we're going to have a movie theater. And then he took me to the center of town. There was a fountain, and at 6 o'clock on Saturday nights, the fountain went off, started blowing water, and then the
Yes.
water changed colors. And this lasted about half an hour. And every Saturday night, everybody brought their family to watch the fountain change color. Um, and they all drove little three-wheeled motorbikes. So they have a family of five people on a three-wheeled motorbike. And then
Wow.
there was one electronics store in the town, and there was a TV in the window. And I don't think they got TV reception, but it had probably VHS thing. So every once in a while, I don't know what the schedule on that was, but they would play movies or play something on that TV, and
Yeah.
people would gather around like in the old days in like New York City. Um,
Yes.
so I don't know what they thought they were doing. I don't know what they thought they were involved in. If they knew they were making something that was going to be reproduced on a TV or in a movie, um, because well, okay, so I didn't talk a lot to the locals because I didn't my Spanish wasn't any good, and
Yeah.
but it seemed like every time we did something difficult or kind of disgusting, it was like, okay, cut, lunchtime, and then we'd go to lunch. So, uh, after we raped that girl, then we had lunch, and we all
Yeah.
had lunch together. They were, the actors didn't have, we all had lunch together, and we got in line together.
Yeah.
There's a scene where I have sex with my girlfriend in the movie. And
Yeah. I remember that scene.
you 10-year-olds,
Just saying this, you were actually,
yeah.
you are still very good looking, but when you were young, you're actually very, very good looking.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You
I have
know?
so I have to say this. One of the things I love about that movie, I don't. There's not much I like about it, but one of the things I really love is I'm skinny and I look pretty fucking good. Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Yep. I
I'm
agree with you
vain.
as well.
I'm vain. So so we had to shoot that scene, the sex scene, five
Yeah.
times, and we did five
Wow.
takes. Yeah. Um,
I, I
for
envy you, sir.
yeah. Well, think about it this way. There you are with your whatever size unit you have, and
Yeah.
I'm a white guy, so my unit is you know, sometimes just goes and hides, and uh uh and I've got 35 Italians surrounding
Wow.
me, waiting for me to get this scene done right. And I've seen these guys at the pool in their swimsuits. So I said to the director, I got a great idea because this is the magic of the movies. So here's what we
Yes.
do. You film me, I'll unbuckle my pants, and then when I drop my pants, we'll cut to that guy. And then because
Yeah.
he's going to make this a much better looking
He's
movie than
packing.
I
He's
am.
packing.
He totally packing. And he said, shut up and go do the scene. So I went and did the scene. We did it five times and then break for lunch. So we're in line for lunch. I think we got cheese sandwiches every day. We never had a very good lunch, but
Wow.
one of the locals. So now the hut that we did this in had no walls, and
Yeah.
it was a terrible scene to do because it was a bamboo hut and the bamboo floor was uneven and had knots in the wood. It was very painful to do that. Um,
Oof.
yeah, it wasn't good. So this guy comes up to me in line at lunch and he goes, ooh, Fai Tai. And I'm like, is that why? Does that mean something? Like, does that mean hi, Fai Tai? I don't know what Fai Tai means. He goes,
Yeah.
Fai Tai, Fai Tai, Fai Tai. And I go, I don't understand. And he makes the universal signal for,
Yeah.
and he goes, he basically, you did it 5 times. And I said, I started to say, oh yeah, that was just acting. Yeah, you're right. I did do it 5 times. I'm a white
Wow.
god. I could, and I did it to your mother 5 more times. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But
Yeah.
so I don't think they knew that we were like acting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those
Wow.
guys are in the shot because if you see if because you can see all the way through the building, of course, that we're in into the river, and they're all in the river watching. And I didn't really even know that. So it was the 35 Italians plus the plus everybody in the world was watching
Yeah.
this thing happen. Oh my God. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, for the locals, I think if they are getting paid, I don't think they would care. Provided they are getting paid, that's enough reason to convince them, to do anything. So, this film you made, which was, like I said, a very wonderful, great movie, had great production quality. It became
Yeah.
extremely controversial. Now, what was the
Yeah.
reaction to how people received it?
My reaction,
Yes.
I felt pretty much like all the people who were aghast, because you know
Yeah,
what? I didn't even know. Like I said, I hadn't read the script before I went down there. And once I got
yeah,
there, I never had my own script. Because there weren't any copy machines in that little town, 1,800 miles from the Atlantic, or a 3 hour flight from Bogota. There were no copy machines. There was only 2 planes a week. I mean, we're out in the middle of
yes.
nowhere. Here's one of the things that happened while we were there. They got a telephone installed in that town, the first telephone. And
Wow.
yeah,
Whoa.
and the day before they installed the telephone, they sent uh, army an army unit down there, and these were
Yes.
like 16 and 18-year-old kids with automatic weapons who looked very
Wow.
nervous. And and the reason they did that is because the next day the president of the company came to Letitia to do some ceremony about putting this telephone in there.
Yes, it's kind
And
of
and so
commemorative.
yeah, but also it was what was actually going on in Colombia at the time was the narco terrorists. That's
Yeah.
what America's called them. Were at war with the government, and so there were um, in Bogota there were jeeps driving around with machine guns, 50 caliber machine guns on the back of the jeep. I asked this guy,
Wow.
"Wow, what's going on with that?" He goes, "Oh, that's just the police." Oh, God. Yeah,
What?
the
What?
police. Yeah, yeah, and those kids with the machine guns and the sweaty kids, they were the guards in the banks too. That was all over the place. It was very militarized. So this movie actually, if you look at it a certain way, is a
Yes.
metaphor for imperialism, for empires like the United States going in and
Yes.
exploiting, you know, the Vietnamese people and the narcotics people, taking over
Yes.
this country. Um, it's a metaphor for that, which I had no way of knowing because I read it once and then I never saw the movie. It was 20 years before I actually saw the movie.
What? For real?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
well, well, here's a weird story. I was a freelance reader in New York. That meant
Yes.
I read books and scripts, mostly books when I was in New York, um, for movie companies to see if they want to, make a movie over about it, or for publishing companies, see if they should publish it. So I was working for United Artists, and and I didn't know this, but United Artists had a deal to distribute Cannibal Holocaust in America.
Yeah.
And they had that deal until Ruggiero was arrested and they made him, they didn't bring me in. They brought Luca, I think, in, that tall guy, and who is now actually a member of the Italian Parliament. How about that? And
Wow. Wow.
and has been producing movies over there. I guess he came from money. I never did get to talk to Luca much because he didn't speak much English. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm working at United Artists, and I went there to pick up some material or take some back. And I hear this guy, I'm walking down the hall. I hear this guy like going, "Holy shit. Oh my God, fuck. I can't fucking believe it." And I'm like, I go and I stick my head in the office. I don't know him. I go, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Come here, you got to look at this." And he's looking at these pictures and he says, "Look at this. This is fucking awful." And I go, "Holy fuck." And he goes, "Right, right. Holy fuck." I go, That's me. That's me." And
What did he say?
goes, "Holy shit, no. Yes. Fuck, that's you." And we just stood there and said, "Fuck shit, fuck shit, fuck shit," because it was so weird, that out of the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere, I happened to walk by while he's looking at the production shots from Cannibal Holocaust. So, so he promised to give me some of those, but before he could, the deal fell through and they didn't distribute it. And then it went dark all over the world. There were only two places you could get this movie that I knew of, that I didn't know of because I thought nobody's ever going to. When I left the Amazon, I was pretty sure nobody was ever going to see this movie. I didn't think
Yeah.
anybody, I didn't know anything about the genre. And I didn't know anything about the director, Ruggero Deodato, who had quite a track record of his own, had worked with some of the great Italian directors as an assistant. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was a very good filmmaker. So
Wow.
anyway, like you said, it was banned all over the world. And then uh, I had an audition in Hollywood for a movie called Jack the Bear, which I got. With
Yes.
Danny DeVito, and uh, the director started asking me some things I'd done because that's a longer story. I gave him a picture without a resume because I hadn't had a job in 9 years and I'd started doing something
Wow.
else, and
Yes.
I've been working with a producer and running her office at at Fox and at Warner's. So, so the casting office was next door, and the casting director wanted me to come in and read for one of the parts. And I said, I don't even do that anymore. And her assistant made me come in. So I came in with a 9-year-old headshot with no resume on it. And because you put your
Wow.
resume on the back, and then the director looks at that, and then he looks at your credits, and you have this fake sort of conversation about the stuff you've done. And so,
Yeah.
and then you audition. And so he said, there's no resume on here. And I said, well, um, my resume is full of lies. And I thought that I just decided I'd come and lie right to your face. And
Wow.
he laughed. So that was good. He laughed and he said,
Yeah.
"Okay, so what have you done?" And I said, "Well, I wasn't even ready for that. I just thought it was a funny thing to say."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, oh, okay. Well, I've done 100 performances of Hamlet on Broadway. I just finished that." And he said, "Yeah," which I hadn't, of course. And he goes, "Yeah, I
Yes.
saw that." And he said, "Well, what else have you done?" And I thought, what's the thing that he hears the most? And I said, "I've done a lot of movies, but none of them have been released yet. And
Wow, yes.
he finished the sentence with me. And he goes, yeah, yeah, none of them have been released. What else have you really done? And I said, okay, okay. Um, I starred in this movie called Cannibal Holocaust. And he said, let's just do the audition
Yeah.
because nobody had heard of Cannibal Holocaust. And it just sounded so outrageous
Wow.
that he thought I was still lying. And and I got that job actually, which was
Wow.
cool,
That's
which
actually
was
impressive.
cool. Yeah, but it's not the way I usually went to an audition, where you try to be a good boy and do everything right and be
Yeah.
friendly and but I didn't, but I had a job, I had a job as a director of development for a producer, and I had
Yeah.
an office on the lot, and I didn't need this job, but I wanted it, but I got it. So anyhow, um,
Yeah.
what is
Carl,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, Carl, looking back, right, after making this movie and you living this wonderful life, how do you view all these experience? How do you view it today? And also, I want to ask, when you
Yeah.
go out into the world, when you walk around, can people recognize you? Can they say, wait, that's the guy that acted, that was the main character in Cannibal Holocaust? Can people actually tell it's you?
No, no, nobody can recognize me. Nobody recognized. In fact, I finally left Hollywood and moved up to Silicon Valley and got married and went to work in high tech. Now I'm a technical writer. Um,
Yeah.
and I went to this one company and somebody, I don't know, oh, somebody saw me on a TV show or something, and they kind of got the idea that I'd been an actor. And then somebody came up with this clip from Cannibal Holocaust. And so I was in an engineering meeting with maybe 40 engineers, and
Yeah.
and the VP says, "I'm going to show you a clip from a movie, and the guy in this clip is in this room, and if you can tell me who it is, I'll buy you lunch." And I was flabbergasted because it was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God," but nobody got it. Nobody knew it was me.
Wow.
And
Damn.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know. So anyway, yeah, what do I take away from it? I know that Francesca, who played my girlfriend, she's not particularly proud of having done this movie. Perry
Yes.
Perkinen, who's the other American, the blonde guy, he won't even, they keep wanting him to do interviews and go to conventions, and he won't answer any of that. So I don't think
Wow.
he's very happy about it. Um, Then there was Robert Kerman, who's the guy who followed our trail and recovered the film. I guess he
Yes.
was a professor in the movie.
Yes.
And he, before he died, I probably did two or three conventions sitting next to him. And
Wow.
so here's kind of how it went. Well, he's not here to defend himself, so um, too bad for him. Here's how it went. He
Yeah.
was older. He'd also done 250 porn movies.
What?
And yeah,
That that
he was
that's mind blowing. He's a legend. I'll give that to him.
yeah,
Wow.
he was a legend. He was a legend, which I didn't know. And I don't remember ever meeting him. So we're sitting next to each other at this convention, and people are coming up and going,
Yeah.
"Wow, it's great to meet you, and I want you to sign this thing, and I'll give this money for signing." And but when I boiled it all down, this is basically what he said to people. I used to have hair. I used to have teeth. Uh, I shouldn't have killed that animal in Cannibal Holocaust, and my dick
Yeah.
doesn't work anymore.
Ooh,
And
crazy.
I'm like, Robert, when these people come to the table, um, they don't care about your hair or your teeth. Um, they're glad you killed that animal. They liked it. That's why they're
Yeah.
here, and you don't have to tell them about your dick. Really don't. And
Honestly, yeah.
yeah, and he was like, "Well, what do you want me to say?" And I said, "Say thank you."
Wow.
They want to give you money. Say thank you. But
Yes.
his mantra was, I could have been somebody if I hadn't done all that porn. I could have been a real actor. And he probably could have. He was a pretty handsome guy.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
that's the direction he went. So
Yes.
a lot of people came out of that unhappy, and he was really angry with Ruggiero, the director. He didn't have to kill those animals and stuff. And I have to tell you, I I'm trying to think how's this going to make me look? But I'll say it. I'm not that affected by the animal killings. I didn't like it, and I wouldn't do
Yeah.
it. And they
Yeah.
wanted me to shoot a pig, and I refused. And then they said, "Okay, Luca, you shoot the pig." And he said, "Okay." So I knew if I shot that pig, I would have to answer for it sometime, and it would be on film, and I didn't want that.
Yes.
So I didn't do it, and I don't kill. I've never killed anybody or any animals. So the
So
fact
your
of
conscience is clear.
my
Honestly,
conscience
Carl,
is
it's
entirely
clear.
clear. Yeah,
Yes. And I agree with you 100%. Now, Carl,
but
this movie is considered groundbreaking in so many ways. Now, what are your thoughts about its legacy?
the legacy, it's
Yes.
hilarious. It's hilarious. It's the funniest thing I ever heard of. Because, like I said, okay, I've done a lot of pretty good stuff in my life. I got a lot of people who love me, all that stuff. I'm going to be
Yeah.
remembered for this movie. This is, the only thing that they're going to mention, if they mention me at all when I die, is this movie. And I think that's just real hilarious
Yeah.
um, because it was accidental. I had no idea what I was getting into. And and I keep getting emails from friends of mine who have this top 10 list of the most, the most, um, what did you call it? Controversial movies of all time. The
Yes, yes,
movies,
yes. Controversial.
I just got another one. Somebody put out a list of the top 10 lost, found footage movies, and Cannibal Holocaust was number one. Okay, real,
Wow.
you know, yeah, okay.
And
When I go to a convention, go
yes,
ahead.
what makes your story so much more fascinating is the fact that, you know, it all happened all of a sudden.
Hmm.
Someone asks you, what are the size of your shoes? Oh, well, I'm a size 10. Okay,
Right.
here's a plane ticket. I want you to see in the Amazon, next week, next month. You're going to star in the movie. You get there, the first thing you see is a floating monkey, dead monkey, and a floating foot. And the next you
Yeah.
find yourself in the movie scene and you're acting the movie. Then at some point you get to another scene where you have to literally bang a very hot woman 5 times. I mean, it's crazy, man. Honestly, it's actually it's a kind of law that it's so cool to hear. I'm actually quite fortunate, and I'm happy that I got to hear your law, and it's been fun, honestly. And that's what, like, even if it's the only thing you remember for, I think it's cool as fuck, honestly.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's always fun
Yeah.
to talk to somebody who was, 10 when you saw this. I can't imagine. Oh my God. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God.
was saying that, honestly, it was crazy. I and my friends, we had to hide it. He was like, "I have this crazy movie, this crazy American movie. I want us to watch it." I was like, "That that time it was DVDs and he had the cassette,
Sure.
and he was like,
Sure.
we're going to watch it in our house. My dad is not going to be around. My mom is going to church. My dad is at work." I was like, "Let's do this." The movie started good. All of a sudden, there was lots of killing. The banging part, we had to rewind and watch multiple times, to get all the details and all that stuff.
So let me ask you,
Yeah,
um, how did this movie affect you? What did you come away with? Because you just described your mom's at church, your dad's at work, something like that,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
watch this movie that blows your mind, and now they come home and you pretend like nothing happened.
yep, 100%. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I
Uh-huh.
have to literally pretend. But honestly, I
Oh,
was actually quite impressed. Over the years, I usually, think back to that moment because if we had been caught, man, it would have been bloody. But thank God we were able to escape and, do
yeah.
what we did without anyone saying. But the production quality of the movie, first off. was actually quite impressive. And up until now, I'm not going to lie, I'm just going to say this. From I noticed from around 2019 up until now, majority of the movies coming out of Hollywood have just been, should I say flops or have just been bad, kind of. It's usually,
Yeah.
but usually, so I usually go back to watch old movies like The Matrix, Cannibal
Mm,
Holocaust, if you will, movies from like the early 90s, late 80s,
uh,
and early 2000s, because the recent movies are just so bad. But one of my takeaways from that movie is the production quality, the amount of dedication that went into that movie is
yeah.
just absolutely mind blowing. And the scene where you had to be with that woman for like 5 times, I saw the dedication in that, and I really appreciate you for your work. Honestly, that was impressive. So that's
That's
my take on it.
very
Yeah,
kind of you. Thank you.
yeah. So you know, if if someone is listening and they want to they want to chase a dream in the creative field, what would you want them to understand before they say yes on opportunity?
Well, I would just tell them when I graduated from college, and I'd already been working professionally, in fact, the whole
Yes.
time I was in college. But I went to my favorite college professor in the theater department, and I said, "Do you think I should?" Sorry about that. Do you think I should be an actor? I'm thinking I
Yeah.
really want to be an actor, and I just don't know. And he said, if you're going to regret that you didn't try, then you have to try.
Wow.
So he wouldn't say anything like, "Oh, Carl, the world's been waiting for you because you're so talented." He didn't say that. That's
Yeah.
what, well,
Yeah.
that's what I want. That's what I wanted him to say. I wanted him to say, "Oh, don't deprive the world of how wonderful you are." That's what I wanted to hear.
I
What he
agree
said was,
100%.
right, but what he said was more about you really want this. So if you don't try for it, you're going to regret that. So try, and then if it doesn't work, you can always do something else. Um,
Yes.
so that's what launched me, and that's when I said, "Yeah, I'm going to try." So, but basically, you kind of have to go flying into this without a net, meaning. Um, I had no thoughts of ever being able to do anything else.
Wow.
The only thing on my mind was two things. Well, my great grandfather had debuted. He was an actor. He debuted on Broadway in New York in 1885. So I thought if I could get on Broadway in New York by 1885, that would make good copy. You put that in the
Yeah.
newspaper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was kind of driven by that, and I really, really didn't have any plans to do anything else. And I know other people who said, their parents said, "Well, you better have a backup plan." And so
Yes.
there they were doing their backup plan instead of chasing this thing down. And I went to New York. I knew one guy there. I'd been on tour with him. His name was Joe Pantoliano. He went on to have a really good career, and we were roommates. And he got me started in New York,
Yeah.
and then I just kept saying yes. You just keep saying yes and keep saying yes, and
Wow.
um, and all kinds of amazing things. So you asked a little bit, kind of like, how do I look back on that? Fuck, I had a great
Yes.
life. I had
Honestly,
fun. It was
yes.
great, great, great. And I have a lot of really fun stories that I really enjoy. And if
Yes.
other people can stay awake long enough, sometimes they enjoy them too. Um,
Yes.
um, yeah. So
Honestly, Carl. Yeah. Yes. Please
yeah.
continue.
Well, I think I mentioned that did I mention I was in an improvisational theater company? And maybe I didn't
No.
mention that. That was my
No.
first like professional thing I was doing.
Yeah.
And we had a principle that we worked by, and the principle was yes and you say yes and you don't say no but. So
Oh.
you're improvising a scene and somebody comes up and says, "Dad, can I have keys to the car?" Now you can say, "I'm not your dad." And you can get, and right, and it got like you laughed. It gets a laugh. It
Yeah.
always gets a laugh, but it stops everything.
Yes.
Now there's only one place to go, which is either one of you's crazy or it has to get even stupider than that. So
Yes. Yes.
instead of no, I'm not your dad, you have to say, yes, here's the keys to the car. Even though that wasn't your idea, now you got to roll with
Yes.
that idea. So saying yes is, is what I would say to people. It's terrifying. It's scary. It's scary because you don't know. But nobody knows what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to
Yes.
happen. I mean, I don't even know what the next thing I'm going to say is. Do I?
Honestly, of course not.
No, of
It
course
just
not.
comes out. And it
Yeah.
depends on
Yeah.
what I even ask you or what I say to you that determines what you're going to say next. So in essence, yes,
And
you don't necessarily know what's going to happen next. And like you said, if you don't pursue your dream, you don't follow your passion, you may eventually end up, kind of regretting it, which is something you don't want to
yeah.
experience. Honestly,
And
Carl, this
and
has been one
yeah,
hell of a fascinating conversation. You've made
good.
me, honestly, you are an entertainer. Yes, this is what you know how to do best. I've been entertained. I've laughed so hard I almost coughed. You
Good.
actually you know your work. You're an artist, yes, 100%. Do you have a book? Have you written any books, or do you, aside Cannibal Holocaust, do you have any other movies? Maybe my listeners can check out and just enjoy more of your work.
Wow. Most of what I did was, well, I did 2 seasons on a TV series called The Paper Chase. I was in Apollo 13 briefly. Jack the Bear, I did a couple of weeks of work on that. Um,
Yes.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I don't know where you get more of me. Yeah, here's what you do. You call your local horror movie convention and tell them to bring me
Yeah.
in, and then I'll come there.
Wow. Wow.
I'm going to Germany. I went to England last year. I'm going to Germany in October.
Wow. Awesome.
I've been
Awesome.
all over the States, and it's so fun to meet the fans of Cannibal Holocaust,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
because I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of horror movies or Cannibal Holocaust.
Really? Why?
No, just it's not my genre. First of all, I don't like being scared in the movies. I don't.
Oh.
I was at a screening of Poltergeist. I don't know if you remember that movie, Poltergeist. It
Yeah.
was real, very scary,
Yes.
and right in the middle of the movie, the guy in front of me turns around and says, "Will you stop kicking my seat?" I said, "What do you want me to do? This is scaring the shit out of me, you know."
Yeah.
So it's just not my genre, and there's people who are really dedicated to the genre. In fact, I went to there's a convention in Cleveland, Ohio, twice a year called Cinema Wasteland, and I've been there 3 or 4 times, and
Yeah.
there are people there who met at that convention, and the first year I was there, I think um, they got married at that convention.
What?
So they
Wow.
met there and then they got married there 5 years later. The people who love these movies are a real,
Hardcore fans like
they're
that.
just like everybody else, except they like horror movies instead of cars or boats or hot rods or
Yeah.
football teams. They're no different than football fans. They,
Yeah. Yeah.
they pay attention and so I have fun. And I'll just tell you this because why wouldn't I? Um, when I first started going to conventions and meeting people, I didn't quite know how to act and what my relationship with them was. But like you said, I'm an
Yeah.
entertainer, and I always thought that it's still show business. So here's what happens when you come to my table.
Yeah.
Somebody will come up and go, "Oh, wow, it's great to meet you," and I'll tell them, "Hey, wait a minute, wait, no, I get the first question. Here's the first question. What the fuck is wrong with you?" And
Oh wow.
and then they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I'm like, I point at the pictures of like the chick on a stick. You and I didn't even talk about the chick on a stick, but
Yeah.
yeah. And I go, "Look at this. This is awful, and you love it. That means there's something wrong with you." And they start laughing, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm really sick." So then I've started. signing signing my pictures to, to blessed, you sick fuck, and then I sign my name. And I can't believe how delighted people are to get that from me. So I'm not
Yeah, I
sure I'm
think.
going to be able to do that in Germany because I don't think they have a sense of humor. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
that's
I think it's because it's kind of like an escape for them.
yeah, yeah,
Nowadays
yeah,
life is relatively safe. There's no monster chasing you. I would say there are no longer any kind of paranormal, spiritual kind of activities going on. So horror movies are kind of like an escape for these people, and it's the reason why they love it so much. They love the gore. They love
And
how
you're
scary it is and
you're still
everything.
a horror movie fan, are you?
I should say I don't think I am partially. Let me just say partially, kind of in a way. When I was younger, yes, but since I've gotten older, I can. I think the reason why I'm no longer much of a fan is because of the recent horror movies. You can immediately just tell, oh my God, what's even happening? It's not. I feel it's a kind of a lost art, if you will. It's no longer as scary as it used to be. Maybe it's because
Yeah,
I'm much more mature now, I guess. I
yeah,
guess
yeah,
that's why.
yeah.
But when I was younger, oh my, I saw Wrong Turn, I saw Texas Chainsaw, I saw, oh my God, is it The Walking Dead? I think, yes, it's The
Mm,
Walking Dead. I saw these movies and I used to, even Predator from Arnold Schwarzenegger, I used to
mm.
enjoy them. Now that I've gotten older, I can see the plot holes. I can see, sometimes I can see where there are mistakes in the movie where, oh, nah, they should have done this instead. It would have been much more scary, this kind of stuff. But I'm still kind of a
So
fan of
are
that.
you in the entertainment business at all aside from podcasts? Because your
No,
podcast is called Thought Atlas, which says something like, I like to think about things.
yeah. Actually, I tend to, my the reason why I opened this podcast was I wanted to just talk to people from different parts of the world about different things, anything. Like I'm here to explore any kind of idea, no matter how crazy it is. Bring it to
Mm,
my bring it to my podcast, and we will explore it together. So apart from
mm,
podcasting, not really. I'm not really in the entertainment industry. I just do podcasting though, and the podcast is just because I want to just, I mean, it started in my country, it became popular, I think, let me just say about 3 years or so now. And I was like,
uh-huh.
I'm going to jump into a podcast and I'm going to invite lots of people to my podcast and just talk to them about their ideas and their experiences and the crazy things they've done in life and just have fun essentially. And record and of course show to people and don't tell anyone, make money on the
Yeah,
side.
yeah. But
Yeah.
that sounds like fun, being able to talk to a whole bunch of different people about a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yes, yes. The reason why I picked the name Thought Atlas, it encompasses, anything and everything. Politics, entertainment, movies, music, health, science, technology, whatever you want to talk about, I'm here for you.
And most of the people that you bring on are from your country or from just all over the place.
Honestly, since I've been doing this stuff, I haven't actually spoken with anyone from my country. It's just been,
Uh-huh.
the US, the UK. I think I spoke to someone
Uh-huh.
from Israel. I've talked to someone in Japan. I've spoken with someone in Australia. I've spoken with
Wow.
someone in Jordan, in just different parts of the world, essentially.
Yeah.
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 Hon- Honestly,
Wow.
Carl, this has been fun. I
Well,
have
I'm glad.
really
I'm glad.
I've enjoyed my time with you, and thank you. So, where can my followers, connect with you? Your social media? Do you have a YouTube channel? Just follow up and just probably maybe host you on their podcast.
Yeah, I'm not a good social media guy. I'm on Facebook. That's the way to find me under my name, Carl York, on Facebook. And I do have a YouTube channel, I guess you could call it. And on that channel, actually, you can see the interview that I did for the what was it, the 25th anniversary DVD that
Wow.
came out from Grindhouse Productions. I think that's the best one with the best production values and stuff. The editor, the guy that edited that, Bob Murawski, is Sam
Yes.
Raimi's, basically Sam Raimi's personal editor. He's done all of Sam's
Wow.
big movies and stuff. I didn't know that when I met him. I didn't know who these guys were. These guys just kind of like, wow, we want to interview you about Cannibal Holocaust, and I did, and everything changed because I didn't know that you could watch Cannibal Holocaust anymore. You know.
Yeah. Honestly,
Like I
right
said, I
now,
saw it once. I saw it once, because I did a movie called Idle Hands. I don't think I
yeah,
actually made it to the screen, but the director of that was a friend, and he knew I was in Cannibal Holocaust, and he saw Cannibal Holocaust in New York City in Times Square when he was 15 because it played in America for a week, and so he saw
yeah.
it then. So he got a hold of a VHS copy and sent it to me in 1999. So that's 19 years, actually 20 years after we shot it. And
Wow.
I tried to watch it, and and the sound compression was PAL instead of NTSC. It was European.
Yeah.
So all the dialogue sounded like we were cartoon characters. We're going to go out in the jungle and we're going to the jungle and find cannibals to make a documentary. And I'm like, oh God, well that sounds really dumb. And then I noticed how skinny I was, and I thought, wow, I like that. I'm skinny. And then
Yeah.
and then the horrible stuff started happening. The turtle. I'm sorry, I saw the turtle. And then and my wife was like, "Oh, I don't want to watch this." And so I put it on fast forward and went through it. And then some people paid me to watch it with Francesca at a convention. And what did we do? We did a commentary, as it went along.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Wow.
I did watch it. I didn't mean to. I didn't want to.
Honestly, girl, let me tell you something. You
Yeah.
see that 1999, yeah? That was the year I was born. So I'm actually very so
That's
what
great.
month, yeah, what month did he, send you that copy that you guys sounded like cartoon characters?
Oh, now that I think of it, it was on your birthday. Yeah,
Good one.
that's right. He said a little baby child is born in Africa, and in honor of that, we want you to watch this horrible movie. Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my,
Yeah. It's
oh
funny.
my
Have you
God,
been
Carl.
have you been out of the country? Have you been to America?
No, not really. I've never been out of the country, but I'm planning to in the future. I just need to get my money
Yeah,
up, but definitely at some point in the
sure.
future, yeah, I'll definitely be out of the country, explore the world. Now I have explored the world digitally. I've spoken with amazing people. Now I need to I need to explore it physically. So that's what I'm working towards now.
Well, good luck
Wow.
with that. Good luck
Thank you
with that,
so
and
much,
keep
Carl.
and keep in touch.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
Carl, this has
Okay.
been awesome. This has been awesome.
Good.
Wow. Thank you so much. And everyone listening, please don't forget to check out Carl's YouTube channel and check him out on Facebook. And don't forget to see Cannibal Holocaust. It's fun, it's crazy, it's gory, it's amazing. Carl,
And
thank
you know
you
what it
so, so
is?
much.
It's the perfect first date movie. The first date.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she's never going to leave you. Even in death, you guys will still be
Right.
married. Trust me.
That's
Carl,
right. If she,
yeah,
yeah.
you have a wonderful
Okay.
day and you
Thanks,
take
you
care of
too.
yourself. This
Thanks for
has been
having me.
fun. Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.